by alone inside. He's got the breakaway with the touch to the right. Goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's Brandon by taking a shot with the left. Goal! Isaac Friend from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
My God, we are back. Do you even remember who we are? This is the People's Pitch, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City SC. So happy to be back with you once again in this new year. I am your host, Nate, joined as always by my co-host, my podmate, my past, my future drinking buddy, John Bisworm. John, it has been a long break. We took a good amount of time off to focus on family and wrapping up work for the year. So what is new with you?
Dude, so glad to be back. And folks, sorry for the delay, but as you know, shit was weird to end the year. And as you can see with recent news, the weird shit didn't go away at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve. But we are back. I miss you all. I miss you, Nate. I hope Krampus brought you all the toys you wanted for the holiday season. But let's just get back at it, friends, and start this year's this latest trip around the sun.
Yeah, man. So so we're going to look back. So we've got a lot of good stuff for you. You know, we've got, with the new year brings a ton of new news, which is really exciting. Usually this is kind of the soccer desert for us, right? There's really no MLS to talk about. There's not a lot going on for Minneapolis City usually year after year, but all that is out the window now. First of all, you and I want to look back on a couple of our favorite moments of 2020. We did have kind of an okay year podcast-wise.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
Really, I want to look forward to the 2021 lower league eCup and what that means. The return of Minneapolis City dominating Twitch. That's what it means.
Twitch.
And then the preseason is upon us already. I can't believe it's already happening. It seems like an early start to the Minneapolis City preseason, but it's really never too early to prepare for the season. So let's talk about what's going on in training and what to look forward to as we head into spring. We are back, and I'm loving it, John. Freaking loving being back. 2020 totally sucked a hippo's asshole, but when it comes to the show, there were really some high points, some shining lights in the darkness, if you will. Don't you agree?
Yeah, that's totally right. There were plenty of great interviews that we actually did have and moments to pick from. And we had great guests. We covered some serious topics. We got a chance to play a little bit of soccer in there. And we made it out the other side. So I'm not really able to pick just one moment. So why don't you get started?
Yeah, man. So top of the list for me, our chat with Brandon By. It was really shortly after everyone we went into lockdown. The MLS season was in question, of course. We knew through talking to Brandon via text, and of course Luke Hawkinson via text, that really these guys were just kind of sitting in their hotels, in their team sponsored hotels, just kind of waiting for news, like trying to figure out what the hell's going on and trying to stay fit and trying to stay healthy. So yeah. Luckily that meant that like Brandon was totally available and totally willing to talk to us. And I really had a great time reconnecting with him. I think it was super interesting hearing his take on Bruce Arena.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Know what I mean? Like it's rare, this for a guy that has a lot of narratives about him. I think Bruce Arena has his share of fans and his share of detractors. It's really interesting to hear firsthand from a young player who's got a lot to learn in the game and who's looking to learn. Really interesting to hear kind of how he is experiencing the Bruce Arena era at the New England Revolution. And I'm glad we got to talk to him when we did, John, because New England were the real deal this year. Once the season got going again, they made it to the Eastern Conference semifinals, right? They were one win away from the finals.
Yep.
just like the Bruins, one win away from being in the MLS Cup, and that was really cool to be able to talk to a guy who is bound for playoff soccer this year.
Yeah, I also liked when we talked a lot about his Aspires Foundation and like learning like the the ins and outs of like how he got started with it and like what it all does, and hopefully we were able to give it the city bump a little bit to get some money so they can help out the kids that they do in the underserved areas that they go into. So yeah. I thought it was great. It's a good pick, Nate.
Yeah. How about you?
So my favorite moment clearly is getting the chance to talk to Jimmy Conrad for 2 hours, both on and off air. That's just too easy, Nate. So drum roll, please. For me, it was getting the chance to actually meet Joe Mayer, the brains and the brawn behind the lower league eCup.
The Joe Mayer.
Yeah, which is topical for our show today, but I didn't pick it because of that. But I just thought it was really interesting because during a time when people in the sports world were just kind of getting their balls stepped on because of COVID and just all the unknowns, this guy conceived an idea to get everyone at our level together through esports, and for a good period of time, that was all that was going on. Like there was nothing. There wasn't like the MLS's back hadn't happened. The NBA hadn't happened. It was more like things were shutting down for good. And then we went in that dark period. And then that's when Joe conceived the idea and really, I think gave us a lifeline really. And then we find out that the dude's just like a freshman in college at the time. Like I'm thinking it's like some guy like our age, right? Who's just like a fan of soccer and he wanted to do this and he's connected into the FIFA world. But then we find out he's also not a FIFA player and he's not really a soccer guy either. And I was just like, what a brilliant idea that like someone not connected to soccer just capitalized on. And I went back and listened to it. We put it out 2 weeks ago. And I listened to it again and I was like, and I had mentioned something and I was like, now knowing what we know about how the eCup started, more about him, like that dude's destined for greatness, whatever he's going to do, when he gets out of school, because not many 18, 19-year-olds come up with something like this and actually act on it. And I thought that was really cool. And for us, for our ecosystem, our little slice of the soccer pie, it made our club do what we do best. And we created the award-winning pregame show for a fucking video game match. And people actually liked it. Like, what the hell? Like we found out that it's super hard to actually try to call a esports game.
Yep.
Which, remember the first time we actually did it? It was like,
what screen do we look at? We were behind.
Yeah. But all in all, it was a great thing when I think folks needed it. And I'm really glad for people like Joe who kind of take that initiative for the greater good. It was pretty awesome. So that was my number one. And like I said, I have more than one. I have two. My second one is not really a favorite moment, but something that was just plain memorable to me. And that was when I personally had to record and I looked at the length, like about a 75-second audio that we posted letting people know that we were going to take a break after George Floyd got murdered. And at that time, the city that our club calls home, the neighborhood where you and your family live and call home, where our players and our staff members also live, was being ransacked and basically destroyed. So at that point, it's like everyone in the world is watching it happen, but we're living through it. I not so much as you because I don't live in the area anymore, but I did. That area specifically, like 4 blocks away, was my home for 6 years. So I watched it with no ability to do anything to like stop the places I frequented. My grocery store, my drugstore, the bar, restaurants I went to. The transit station I'd hop on to go to work some days, like all that stuff being destroyed and really just like a mile away from where our shop is. Mm-hmm. So, not only did we need to put the club aside and the game aside because it was the right thing to do, our focus was then really put on the safety of those people that were swept up in it. all the madness like yourself and all those other folks I mentioned, but the people that we call neighbors of our soccer club were really affected. And then that break really meant even more because to a lot of us in the club, because it showed that we were more than just a soccer club, and and members of a soccer club and ticket holders that make up what we are. We're actually made up of a group of people who, when shit goes down, we step up because it's just the right thing to do, and we're not just all about wins and losses. So the players and the staff immediately got down to the city to help clean things up in the neighborhood, and the rubble was literally still smoldering when they were down there. And then Sarah Schreier with the club jumped in 2 feet and organized our club shop as a pickup point for people who are in dire need of food and supplies. Then the donations started to pour in, and I don't know if you got a chance to go down there at all, but when I was down there, the shop was literally packed from floor to ceiling and wall to wall with supplies for over 3 weeks. And then people could come and get what they needed to keep their lives going, because there were people that like for miles didn't have a place to like go get like water or like soap or just food to eat. So, the players and the staff put in some long hours in multiple shifts to make sure that there was order, so that, there wasn't a free for all and it turned into turned into, potentially a powder keg of people like seeing free stuff and taking advantage of it. And that everyone got what they needed. And all of this to me was like this super powerful stuff, Nate. It had nothing to do with our show, or the game we play. It was just about what makes this club so special to me. And I think, to all of us, that it was really like showing what like brotherhood and sisterhood we've created within our club, that we're willing to go in and out of battle together and stand with each other in times of need. And honestly, I had almost even forgotten about it since it was such a long time ago, from a calendar year perspective. But when I was kind of diving in the archives, I re-listened to prepare for today. I came across the message, and it kind of brought back all these memories of like all of that stuff that I just mentioned, and it seemed like just forever and a day ago. So I think that to me, it just like it was a no-brainer for me to bring that up today.
Wow, yeah, I mean, it was definitely living down here and experiencing, of course, the helicopters and the shifts on neighborhood watch and all that. It was nice to be able to focus on the family in the neighborhood. And it was really nice to know that the club was helping us too. Like this on the Sunday after, I took my bike out and I just wanted to check everything out, and it was really what struck me more than the devastation was riding past Sanford Middle School and riding past Minneapolis City headquarters. Just wanted to swing past and see what was going on. But it's funny to see the small lawn and the small space that the city shop has just covered in food. And it was even more overwhelming when I got back closer to my house and I swung past Sanford Middle School, that like the entire parking lot, the whole lawn of this middle school was covered in donations. And after kind of biking around and seeing that, firsthand, that there's really no way for people to be able to provide that for themselves without, with all the buses down and with all the gas stations closed and all that. It was very, very cool to see, and really made me proud to be a part of this club that was able to help the neighborhood out. So that was a good choice. That's a good choice, John.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go to the emotional side, Nate.
Yeah. My second choice was your first choice. It was definitely the great experience that our involvement was announcing the Lori League eCup. Super fun for me. I totally had forgotten that he didn't even play FIFA.
No, and he's not even really a soccer guy either.
When you think about a kid that was able to identify a market, a need, right? Like to even understand what lower league soccer is, if you're not a soccer fan, is really, really mind blowing to me. And then understand how big esports are and that sort of thing in competitive esports, if you're not really a part of soccer, part of FIFA or have played FIFA is really, really striking. I totally had forgotten about that. And it really is, you're right, something from the start that we kind of shrugged our shoulders at. We were just like, oh, well, let's try it. We dove right in. And it turned into such a fun and eye-opening experience. So, besides getting to talk about and commentate on our favorite game franchise of all time, we got to meet Joe, and we got to get to know Evan from
Madison,
and really got to know Jonah a little better too, and Max, and just kind of understand the culture around FIFA, and that has of course led to my increased interest in it too. So it gave us the foundation for Twitch interviews with players, and of course Foot City, and our return to the eCup, which is coming up next week. Can you believe it?
Yeah, speaking of the eCup, Nate, guess what, folks? It is back, and we are ready to roll. The 2021 eCup has really put its big boy pants on, folks, and gotten quite the refresh coat of paint. They have some new sponsors that are involved. There's a weekly podcast now that covers the past week of action, and probably a whole slew of other things I missed. But the 2021 sponsors in no particular order are Icarus Kit Providers, Midfield Branding, Offside Marketing, and of course, how could we forget about Small World Soccer, who was involved in the first go around. So a step up from last year for sure. If you head on over to @LowerLeagueECup on Twitter, you can get all the information there, or you can go to lowerleagueecup.com and you can get it there. The format's going to be the same. It's about 50 players in each console, PlayStation and Xbox, and then a handful of virgins who are on the PC. And then things get kicked off. Then things get kicked off on Tuesday, January 12th, and then run through the end of January for the group stages. And I won't really mention when the knockout stages are. We'll update folks as the subsequent rounds happen as needed. But that's kind of the basics of it, Nate.
So, it's funny. I was actually kind of surprised that we're doing it again, because I thought it was like, that was kind of a fun thing, and I didn't really realize that we were going to be we would be approached, since we kind of had heard nothing from Joe since we had talked to him, and we thought, oh well, maybe he's working on other stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, bam, eCup is back, and within a matter of, it seems like days, you're talking to me about hosting, and we're organizing the schedule. So how did we come about? How did we end up hosting this again?
Well,
or commentating on this again?
Funny story. Typical us. We just, like you mentioned, we kind of just figured someone else had signed us up for it, but nope, that was not the case. We all forgot. And then after I was seeing it on all the stuff on Twitter, and okay, yeah, what's going on? I'm like, I wonder if Jonah is going to do it again, and I didn't really follow up with him. So then about a week ago, Joe actually texted me and was asking what our deal was. So then I got the wheels going at that point. So sorry, Joe. We may seem buttoned up at times, but we also tend to forget to do stuff, which we'll blame on that one night in college at a Fish concert. But yeah, dude, we are, we made the guy whose hands are clearly full right now contact us, Nate. So really great on our part.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could have asked, if we could have been proactive, but I don't know. I like the people to come to me, right? I like to keep the people wanting more. So that was good that he came. That was good that he came back.
Yeah, the hunter has become the hunted, apparently.
Yeah. So what's the plan going to be? I think it starts next week, but I'm not too keen on what the schedule is right now.
Sure. So essentially, folks, the plan is to hit the sticks again and try to bring home a trophy like always. And like it or not, Nate and I will be back doing commentary thanks to our producer Tyler, who, let's be completely honest, Nate, he's the guy who's the only reason how we can pull this stuff off, because us two bozos could have never figured this out.
Totally.
We were talking this weekend, or last was it this weekend or no, earlier this week, about can we pull it off? Before we really committed to doing the show and the production, we wanted to make sure we could actually do it, because we need Tyler. It was just he's like, oh no, I found this thing, you guys could probably pull it off. And I don't know about you, but the whole time he was talking, I was like, nope, can't do that. Like, we need you, Tyler.
Yeah, it's amazing that Tyler has been able to step up. Who is, he started off as the intern that was kind of helping us up in the booth with some AV audiovisual needs. Graduated to being our guy that ran the Maikuju stream and really leveled that up before he went in and just basically dug in up to his elbows on how to get a Twitch stream going and what that looks like. And now it's his job.
Yeah,
not
so
for us. Like, he turned that into a job for a esports company.
Yeah. So basically, newsflash, kids, get involved in City at the intern level and then get a job that you actually enjoy doing, right? But we're definitely bringing back our patented pregame show, and that'll kick off right around 10, 15 minutes ish before each match. And our first match is 8:30 p.m. Thursday, January 14th, with pregame coverage starting around 8:15 ish. Over on our Twitch channel. And I do want to mention, though, that the pod will go on a little bit of a hold. I know we just came off of one for a bit while we pour our hearts into providing everyone with a great time through the duration of the eCup, but we'll probably toss in a show here and there. But don't expect us to be fully back on the airwaves.
There's only so much content our wives will let us create for this club.
Yeah, like, I do have a family, and we'll find out in a second that soccer actually has started again. So I kind of need to be, pick and choose my battles here. So definitely want to make sure we provide something cool for the eCup, because we had the opportunity to do it last year and we don't want to disappoint. But if you don't subscribe, this is the perfect opportunity for you, Nate, to tell everyone how to do that, since you have become an emerging Twitch influencer. So tell the folks how they can find us.
Yeah, so all you have to do is head over to Twitch. And you just have to search for MPLS City SC, and you can follow us there. So the address is twitch.tv/MPLS City SC. Smash that follow button and subscribe, and you will get all the notifications you need whenever we go live, whenever we've got a show, whenever we're commentating, whenever we're live on stream. You'll be the first to know, or at least among the first to know.
Sadly, though, I won't be able to try to do the Cabin Crusher challenge, where I try to drink 4 Cabin Crushers in 15 minutes, pretty much, or 25 minutes, or whatever it is, because Cabin Crusher's not here anymore. So I'm gonna have to think of something new this year. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but hey, if you're out there and you want to be a sponsor of our pregame show, we have some stakes in the fire, but we're capitalists. If you want to make a better offer, we'll listen.
Yeah, and John, this tournament is huge, right? We're starting. It's best to start with by making your world small, right? And there's like you said, there's the PlayStation tournament, there's the Xbox tournament, there's the PC tournament. So we're just going to be concerned at first with our little corner, our little corner of the world, and Minneapolis City has been placed in Xbox Group D, and Group D has some cool teams. Dynamo FC from St. Cloud, so just our neighbors right up 94. Lansing Common FC, a team I sadly don't know anything about besides that they're from Michigan, and another team from Michigan, our old friends Oakland County FC. You might remember them from our very first ever Open Cup game that we played up at the National Sports Center in Blaine. And that was my first opportunity to announce a real game in a cool booth. That was like, I'll never forget that game.
Yeah, we'll call this one playing for pink slips on the rubber match.
That's right. This year's competitor for Minneapolis City, John, is going to be Foot City regular, weekend league elite competitor, and Minneapolis City captain Max Stiegwert. Mixing it up. Jonah's got a lot going on, and of course there's the season. The preseason is starting. He's got a life of his own. And Max has really been trying to ramp up his streaming game and his competitive game. So he is going to be our chosen champion this time around. So make sure you head over to Twitch. You follow Minneapolis City SC on twitch.tv. Also follow him at the Foot Moose, FUT Moose, and you get notified when all of us go live next week. Starting the total FIFA domination anew.
Well, and I want to mention quickly that congratulations to the Foot Moose and his girlfriend, Marissa, who just got engaged over the holidays. So now he's going to quickly be moving into the world like us, where he has to do things late at night because he has a wife and maybe kids someday. So better get all that FIFA in now, Max. Because
tell me about it. I was so all in, like, oh, I'm gonna part of Foot City is like Nate is gonna play competitive Ultimate Team for the first time in his life, and let's watch him crash and burn. But like, it's really hard to find time to play competitive Ultimate Team when you've got a 1-year-old baby, John.
Okay, so this is the point in time where I don't feel for you at all. Like, I don't mean to like toot my own horn here, but I got a lot of shit on my plate.
You're just like, welcome to the club. You're an old dad.
Yeah, like not like I can't even tell you the last time I played FIFA. I have it. I think I played it the first week it came out, and that was it. And I even said the same thing. I was like, oh, during quarantine, I'm gonna get back into FIFA. I might try, Ultimate Team and see how I can do. And, I think I can do a good job. And, I've been watching, the show you're doing. And then I spun it up like one day and was like, nope, this takes too much time. Can't do it.
Speaking of real life, John, hard to believe, but real soccer life preseason is already upon us. It's got to feel good for the guys to get back out there, getting ready for what we hope will be a competitive season. Walk us through what kind of preseason the team really has planned for the both the NPSL and the UPSL guys, and I guess the Futures kids. Like, there are a lot more players this year. There are a lot more coaches. Preseason must look totally different than it has any other year in Minneapolis City's existence. Well,
dude, first off, my bone has yet to go back to normal size since we got the word we could actually get back on the field. Like, I'm so excited. Like, it's unbelievable. But we officially kicked off January 5th, getting the boys back out to work, get the kinks out and, drop the holiday 15 pounds some of them gained. And it was fantastic. Like you mentioned, we have 2 semi-professional, 4th tier teams now, instead of just having the kind of the U23 team that's running through kind of a non-league schedule. The Futures guys that you had mentioned as well. We have, another 50 players that we've added in, give or take. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but we're basically getting started, this week with preseason for the senior guys. And then on the week of the 18th, we're starting the Futures back up again, which is super exciting because I know a lot of those kids we got shut down in November, the day before our last session that we were going to be running. So we've kind of had to, change course for obvious reasons. But the preseason itself doesn't necessarily apply to the Futures kids. Some of them obviously will be in and out, right? Like we might elevate a few of them, but they're going to be starting their own thing over here. And then the preseason really is for the first and second team guys. So everyone was turned up to 200, man. And we had to do our fair share of calming them down because some of those guys hadn't touched a ball in a non-isolated situation for months and maybe even the full year. So we fingers crossed. We have many more days ahead, but yeah, we gave it a go on the 5th and it was awesome.
John, so I mean, we're starting pretty early for preseason, for what preseason usually is. So what's on the docket for like the first couple months, January, February, when usually Minneapolis City would not have practice at all?
Actually, we're actually starting later, to be honest, because we typically do like our in-town college combine for players that are back during the Christmas holiday. So we typically, in the past 2 years, have started around the December 15th time period. But so we're about a month behind, but we're still like miles ahead of most teams at this point. But the plan of attack is that this month, the month of January, we're going to have 6 sessions and we'll be just about at our max attendee opportunities as we keep things COVID safe since we're inside of a dome. Got to keep the kids safe these days.
That's right.
And then we'll go back to a weekly one session cadence until the end of April. And then we amp it up again before the season starts for both MC1 and MC2. But what we don't have in there is we don't know if there's a potential for us to have a March U.S. Open Cup date. I know there's some U.S. Open Cup rumblings happening right now. And we didn't do anything wrong this time. So
how could we have done anything better or worse than any other team in the NPSL?
Exactly. So we have no idea what that might hold, but I know we have at least inquired, and we filled out our paperwork like they asked us to. So who knows, but that there could be a potential of that. But we also have more opportunities to have more guys in these sessions than we normally would, because of the fact that the opportunity presented itself because most college kids are back home because of COVID, which is awesome because now we're able to like have instead of having like maybe 2 touch points out of 4 potential ones over the holiday, now we have, guys that might actually be here for the entire duration until we start up again full season training.
Yeah, so maybe that's what I meant why it felt like it's starting so early.
Yeah,
like I knew we always had the college kids come back and practice with everyone for a while, but then it's like most of the team goes off to college, and this year they're not.
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys that are going back. A couple of the guys. I mean, I think there was like maybe a handful that said this was their only session that they're going to be able to make for a couple months because they're going to be heading back. But it wasn't that many, so that's great. And on top of the preseason, we did mention the. We did mention that the this is kind of the preferred trial period / preseason, and then the futures are starting. So those kids are all at home. But on top of all of this, we do have on January 13th, we have our first open trial. And then we have a planned second one in late March, early April timeframe. We have to figure that out still. So we're really right in it, man. Like we're all full steam ahead, which is awesome. And considering that we're just kind of getting going, I really don't have a ton to report on as of right now. But I can say, though, that the momentum that we had with the guys, pretty much everyone's back from the team that we were going to be entering into the Open Cup that was canceled in 2020. And then that momentum that continued into the MPLS's back 7v7 Ben Wexler Brotherhood Cup this fall. And then now that's continued into our first session. We just might have the most talented mix of players we've ever had at Nate. I really do believe that. We have like the perfect mixture of veterans that most of them have been with us since day one and now aren't like totally aging out of this experience. They're kind of hitting their primes. You get guys like Max and Will who've been with us for 5 years and now they're like 25. So we have this like really cool mix of like very seasoned NPSL players, along with some of the former U23 guys that were in that environment who started to become household names over the past 2 years. And then you throw in there this like super talented crop of younger players that's like pushing for their chance. It's actually really exciting, and you saw it all come together on day one. And I was like, I'm evaluating players. And I'm like, man, like this guy really leveled up, like we're going to have some really good position battles. And I think that the message that we had to the guys is that with now having a team in the UPSL and a team in the NPSL, there really isn't like a first and second team, even though it's kind of what the names go by. We have just kind of a roster of like 60 guys that can play on either team. And like, we have 60 guys, and that's our team. And then we have 2 18 game day rosters pretty much. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we do that, because you might see some regular household names from the NPSL side dropping down to help fill out some roster needs for any given circumstance on the UPSL side, and vice versa. And then you have the opportunity to elevate the futures kids. Then we're adding another 50. So we have potentially a player pool for 2 rosters of 110 players, which is
it feels like overkill, but I mean, that's an embarrassment of riches, maybe.
Right. And you think about then what our competition is all the things that they have to go through. It really is kind of an embarrassment of riches. But then when you dissect it into like, we have two teams that are competing at the same tier of U.S. soccer who are off in different directions. You have the futures kids who are here just to really train and get that small-sided environment, but they could be elevated. Like, you just have like all these moving pieces. So when you say there's 110 players and then you dissect it into 3 different environments, it makes sense then. But but we really could put out, basically what I'm trying to get at is that we're no longer going to Sioux Falls with 13 guys. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And it's we're going with full 18, and all of them can play equally as good as the ones we would have brought if Sioux Falls came into town. So yeah. I'm really excited about that, because there's nothing worse than going, I don't know if you've ever been to places like Sioux Falls away. Like, that trip always becomes marked down in the folklore of city for how awesome it is when we get done playing. But it's always in the dead of the summer for some reason, and we only get like 15 to 13 guys that can even go. And right. It's just and it's always hot as shit, and there are fields in the middle of nowhere, and there's no shade, and the turf gets like up to like 110 degrees, and it's just like, that's a really tough away trip for us, and we don't have to worry about that now. Now we will bring a full squad, and mercy be on the hosts. I guess you can say. But yeah, super exciting stuff, man.
Well, I mean, really excited to see the updates that'll be coming out of Minneapolis City Camp over the next couple of months, and interested to see how open trials go. There's just so much ramping up, and it's crazy to me that the U.S. Open Cup could start as early as March, and that is only 2 months away, month and a half away.
Yep.
If you're being liberal with your time.
The one thing that I didn't mention that I'm kicking myself is the fact that, Nate, we have 11 coaches now on staff, and 12 if you count old Uncle Biz here. And that is definitely a first. And when I was out there, like, wherever I looked, there was a new face directing a drill, providing direction. The sessions were set up. They ran like clockwork. We got there, we started, we got the work in, we got out of there before we even knew it. And I was texting with Dan about it, and I was like, holy shit, man, like, look where we've come from. Like, and then you look at the caliber of coaches and like the new faces, like Allie and Tori get like my first opportunity. I had seen Allie, go through her paces with the futures trials, but I had never seen like Tori take control of an activity, because it was more of an evaluation period, and like, she's a coach for the senior teams, so she wasn't really involved. But then you had at the futures trials, you had the new faces for the futures program that's supporting Jeremiah, and then those guys were at the senior training supporting guys like Michael and Kevin, who are the new head coaches and assistant coach for MC2. And then you had them supporting Matt, and then Adam was involved. I was like, holy shit. Like, this truly is like a professional environment where people like me can just go watch and evaluate and provide my 2 cents. And then someone like Matt doesn't have to be leading all this stuff. He can create the session and can sit back and actually evaluate it, and doesn't have to do the coaching points. It's right. Pretty awesome.
Well, it's definitely a different club than it was.
Yeah, we grew up
a year or two, a year or two ago, especially 5 years ago. So it's amazing to hear, and it's exciting. I'm really excited to see the on-field product eventually coming up here this spring and summer.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is all for this week's show, folks. Thank you, as always, for our show sponsor, Summit Brewing Company. Friends, if you have yet to try the Dark Infusion Coffee Milk Stout, it is so, so good. So go ahead and stop down to your local liquor store, and potentially soon your local swig house, and get some before it's gone. Summit, a more meaningful brew since 1986. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, maybe it's time to give to the club that gives back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game, as well as our newly formed Futures Scholarship Fund. So consider a tax-deductible donation. It's January. Tax time's right around the corner. So consider that the tax deduction donation to a truly city-focused organization. Do you have anything you want us to cover? I know we're going to be in a little bit of a dark period, but it's never too late to hit us up. If you have any quests you want us to go on, any people you want us to have on the show, any topics you want us to cover, send us mail. It's easy to do. Hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch or through email mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, as always, you can complain to the club at MPLS City SC on Twitter. Remember to head over to twitch.tv/MPLS City SC and subscribe so you can keep abreast of all of the lower league eCup action, as well as the future episodes of Foot City, where Nate is just like a 13-year-old TikTok influencer. And thank you for joining us for another year of the People's Pitch. That'll do it for tonight. I am John. That was my co-host Nate. The preseason is here. The eCup is here. And you know what that means, Nate? You got hoofed.
Yes.
Poster burning maple weeds, cradle major keys. Thinking back, I've been major since the minor league. So supreme, too much sauce off my olive NMDs. I could staple steez, bend the goat so I get the cheese, never fall. Rake them leaves and make sure every moment gets seized. And everything I see is